This video is sponsored by Bloodline, Heroes of Lithos. According to Brad Stone's Amazon Unbound, Jeff Bezos once told his Amazon Prime executive team, "I want my Game of Thrones." From this demand, two series came. One was The Wheel of Time, the other was Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. Clearly, neither of them ended up being the Game of Thrones that Bezos wanted, but not deterred by those failures, the executives at Amazon Prime just went forth and got Bezos another would-be Game of Thrones contender with God of War. Could they be more successful this time?
You serious?
Hope springs eternal, but if I were a God of War fan, I wouldn't get too excited just yet, because it would appear that Amazon aren't entirely sure about what they did wrong on the Rings of Power and the Wheel of Time, and that's bad news for God of War fans. In this editorial, I will begin with going through what lessons Amazon took away from the undeniable underperformance of the Rings of Power, before revisiting how they approached the Wheel of Time and how that very well could inform their approach to God of War. Now, that might not sound too promising, but don't feel too bad because there's still plenty awesome fantasy out there. One example is the sponsor of this video, Bloodline Heroes of Lithos, an awesome looking game with some of the most unique game mechanics I've ever seen. You have to try this game, and you can do so now for free and receive an amazing starter pack. Bloodline Heroes of Lithos is a hero collector fantasy RPG with a 3D art style, where you build your kingdom and collect champions to defend it and the world. What's especially cool here, and sets this game apart, is that you can create your own unique legendary champions by combining the bloodlines of elves, demons, demigods, orcs, dwarves, dragonborn, vampires, and even lycans. On that note, now is the best time to try out Bloodline as the game is having its best update ever. The new Lycan clan, Gurtung, is coming to the game this Christmas with a sleek design. They are the most brutal damage dealers yet in the world of Lithos, with different weapons and even different skill sets depending on gender. And yes, you can combine this brand new lineage of bloodlines with the existing ones to breed even stronger hybrids. For a limited time only, players will be able to obtain a Gurtung champion for free by participating in the Christmas event starting December 22nd. Also, starting this December, all players can battle in the new Guild War, Valley of Conquerors on brand new maps, winning legendary hybrids. Conquer territories with your guild members and claim rewards to create the most unique hybrid champions called Bloodcraft Legends. For the first season, everyone has a chance to claim Bloodcraft champion Scarlet, a rare combination of demigod and vampire. Gather your team and start playing now so that you can get her for free by simply beating your enemies. New bloodlines and legendary hybrids are constantly being released into the game, which means that the possibilities are endless for you to seek out the greatest hybrid to suit your style. So, download the game for free now on either Android or iOS, using the link in the description or by scanning the QR code on screen. That way, you'll get a special starter pack worth $20 with 3 stamina points, 100,000 gold, and 100 diamonds. So click that link and get a new Lycan champion for free this Christmas. With that, let's return to Amazon and what lessons they took away from their recent failures. Amazon's The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power is the most expensive TV series ever made, and it needed to be one of, if not the most successful TV series ever made as well, in order to justify the expense put into it. Suffice to say, it wasn't. The series was thoroughly beaten by HBO's House of the Dragon in the ratings, and once it became clear that the audience had massively rejected the series, even the entertainment media complex turned on it, and courtesy of our good friend Chris Gore, we revealed that something of a retooling would be forthcoming from Season 2. But of course, in order to fix the problem, they first have to accurately diagnose what it was in the first place. That shouldn't be too difficult in this case, as the fans were pretty unison in their verdict that the core problem is that the Rings of Power isn't true to the writings of Tolkien, something we see most clearly in their interpretation of Karen Su Galadriel, and fans want fidelity to Tolkien. So, what lesson did Amazon take away from this very clear message? Well, to be fair, we don't know all the lessons they took away, but it would appear that one of them was that there must have been just too many men involved behind the scenes. Because for Season 2, Amazon proudly announced that the new team of directors would be exclusively female. Now, I don't recall anyone bringing up the gender of the Season 1 directors as an issue, but thinking it would be very much so in line with the policies of the real-life Galadriel, namely Amazon Prime Video executive Jennifer Salke. Longtime watchers will remember her as the one who cancelled Amazon's Conan the Barbarian series from showrunner Ryan Condal because she thought there was too much toxic masculinity in it. That's incidentally when HBO swooped in and hired him to do House of Dragon for them, which turned out to kick Rings of Power's ass. While Salke greenlit the Wheel of Time instead. Just like The Lord of the Rings, the Wheel of Time doesn't have a corporate owner who would fight to protect the original vision of the dearly departed author. So, when the powers that be at Amazon made clear the intention to deconstruct the already female-led Wheel of Time into something outright female-centric, there was no one to oppose it. Rafe Judkins, whose most extensive earlier credits include writing 11 episodes of Chuck, 5 episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and being a contestant in Season 11 of Survivor, was appointed as the showrunner to carry the deconstruction out. The perhaps most egregious change is in the magic system ruling the world, which in Robert Jordan's books is divided into two equal halves, the masculine and the feminine, like yin and yang, ever in balance. In the Amazon series, it's just the one power, and you get no points for guessing which one was ditched. Also, Rand, the lead male character of the books, was massively changed and pushed into the background. The end result of this deconstruction and subversion of Robert Jordan's original work was large-scale rejection from the built-in Wheel of Time fanbase. Showrunner Rafe Judkins was handsomely rewarded though, because next, he'll be showrunning God of War. On December 14th, it was announced that Amazon would be producing a live-action God of War series for their Prime Video service. The series is a co-production between Amazon and Sony Pictures Television in association with PlayStation Productions. Now, one can always hope that the latter two will fight to preserve the integrity of the series, but that Amazon's Rafe Judkins was appointed showrunner after what he did to Wheel of Time tells me that Amazon is the party with more sway. That, in turn, makes me worry about how they will subvert it. God of War, of course, has been a flagship video game series for Sony's PlayStation ever since the release of the first game for PlayStation 2 way back in 2005. Inspired by Greek mythology, the story follows the Spartan warrior Kratos, and for more than a decade, all games released took place in a mythological Greek setting. That changed only relatively recently with the 2018 relaunch for the PlayStation 4, which pushed the story forward into the Viking era and Norse mythology, which is also the setting for the recently released PlayStation 5 sequel, God of War Ragnarok. No doubt wanting to stay with the current games, the Amazon series will be based on the 2018 reboot and take place in the Viking era. Now, as a Norwegian myself, I am in principle all for adaptations of anything Norse. But since this series of games started in Greek times, featuring Greek mythology and stuck with that for most of the history of the franchise, it seems disingenuous to me to begin with the recent retooling of the games. If anything, you'd think they would want the series to follow the games, that is, begin in ancient Greece, and then retool a few seasons in, which would be a great way to prevent the series from growing stale, like it was for the games, but I guess not. We do not yet know exactly what Amazon have in store for us, but based on their recent track record, the showrunner's track record, and the decision to skip the origins of the franchise in favor of a recent reboot, I worry that this is going to be yet another Wheel of Time and Rings of Power level subversion of the original source material. But that's me. What about you? Are you excited for Amazon's God of War? Let me know in the comments, and before you go, be sure to download Bloodlines Heroes of Lithos for free using the link in the description or by scanning the QR code on screen.